Paper wasn't readily available, so I'd pick up a potsherd and I would write on it something. And they would actually make pots and break pots so that they had potsherds to scribble notes on. And archaeology has discovered lots of potsherds with writing all over them, and simple things like love notes and letters to people and important letters to important individuals like governors and kings have been written on potsherds and sent by courier, and that was the medium on which the letter was transferred. They used potsherds to cut with. They used potsherds to scrape with. They used potsherds for all kinds of different tools, dig with and to carve with. Clay soil, they would use potsherds to cut soil with. Well, here, he takes up a potsherd, which is a very common, very at-hand tool, and he bursts his boils with it. Now, he was in pain before this. From the sole of his feet, he had boils. To the crown of his head. I can imagine lots of places on my body where I wouldn't want to take a potsherd and burst a boil. Some very tender places. They're all over Job, and he takes that thing and he begins to scrape himself with it so that all that poison will run out. And then the second part of the medicinal cure is ashes. The pH in the ash is going to draw out all that poison. So he sits in an ash pile. Now this is also often used, the ashes are often used as a sign of repentance. In this case, Job's just gone to the doctor. This is some home remedy. And he scraped himself to open those boils. Ouch. And now he's sitting in that ash heap, which is probably nothing more than just where they're burning, and they've dumped their ashes in a pile, and they've got a pile of ash over here, and he just goes out there, makes him a little spot, sits down and covers himself up with all this ash. And later on, when his friends come, that's how they find him, by the way, is sitting in the ash heap. He is in a bad way. He's lost everything, and now his health is gone. He's in pain, and he's at death's door. Of course, he's not going to die, but he doesn't know that. Then we see the voice of the enemy. His wife says unto him. Now, I'm not saying, ladies, that you're the enemy. Wives are not the enemy. That's not what I meant to say. But the voice of the enemy is heard in his wife, because I want you to notice what she says. Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. Who said to the Lord, if you touch his bone and his flesh, he'll curse you to your face? Satan did. So Satan, now speaking through his wife, encourages Job. It's okay. Just curse God, and it'll all be over soon. You don't have to endure the pain any longer, the boils, the burning, the nastiness of the ash heap, and the bitterness that is just running all over your body. And the language here is dramatic. Do you still retain thine integrity? Do you remember what the Lord said of Job? I told you to hang on to that phrase. He still holdeth fast his integrity. Same language that the Lord used of Job, now in the voice of his wife, who says, do you still retain? The word retain there means to grab hold of, like very strongly. As if you were going to slip and fall. You grab the edge and you hold on for dear life. That's the idea. He is not going to let go. He's done like that. He's holding on to it because his integrity is the last thing that Job has. He doesn't have anything else. He doesn't even have a godly wife at the moment to comfort him. And so he's holding on to his integrity. He is not going to curse God. It's the last thing he's going to do. And so what does he do? He's holding firmly to his integrity because he will not let that go. Because if he lets that go, everything then is shattered. Everything is shattered. Do you still retain that integrity? Job's integrity is all that he has. It's all that he has. Curse God and die. And of course, this is exactly what Satan wants Job to do. This is what he forecast Job would do. This would not bring God glory. And of course, that's what Satan wants, is to destroy the glory of God. And Job says to his wife, this is why I think this is not normal for Job's wife. I think Satan must have just spoke through her in a momentary flash of emotion, and he says, you sound like one of the foolish women. This is not like you. This is not what I usually hear you say. You sound like one of the foolish women. This is not the voice of his wife. This is the voice of the enemy speaking through her. He knows his wife, and he knows his wife wouldn't say something like this. And notice what he says. Again, we have one of those statements, just like we had at the end of chapter 1, when Job says, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Remember that? And I said this morning, that is the statement of faith in the Old and New Testament. It's such a simplified, boiled down version of exactly what we believe in uprightness and in fear of God. And here we have another one of those statements. He says, shall we not receive good at the hand of God, or shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? He's saying here that without cause is repeated. The Lord said that he was moved against Job without cause, and now Job defends his integrity by implying here there is no cause for him to curse God. God said there's no cause for me to curse Job. Job says there's no cause for me to curse God. God's holiness is intact. His righteousness is intact. And, by the way, so is Job's. There's no cause for me to curse God because he's blessed me. Shall I not receive blessing from the hand of the Lord and evil from the hand of the Lord? The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. So, without cause is repeated. Job says, there is no cause for me to curse God. Even though, wife, you think at this moment it would be better. But it's not. And notice the very last statement. Just as we ended the first trial and began the second trial, so now we come to the end of the second trial and end it just the same way. In all this, did not Job sin with his lips? In other words, Job maintained his integrity. He was still complete. He was still whole. Nothing was missing. Nothing is fractured. Nothing is out of place. Because if his integrity is gone, really the rest of the puzzle is not complete. Fear of God without integrity, uprightness without integrity, those things are just hypocrisy. So even in the midst of horrible pain and humiliation, Job remains faithful to the Lord. He becomes, just as I said this morning, an example for us to walk and live by faith. There's no cause to curse God. There's no cause to break your integrity.
Jesus will meet you.
Thanks for listening to this week's message. Please join us again next time for another installment of the Creek Road Baptist Pulpit.